Welcome to the wacky world of Scientology. Scientology is a science fiction-based cult created by L.Ron Hubbard, a prolific writer and tax dodger. Hubbard was an odd mixture of con man and charismatic teacher. Many of those who embarked on his Dianetics and Scientology program experienced positive changes in their lives. Others became disillusioned and sued Hubbard to get their money back. As a science fiction writer, Hubbard could use his imagination in ways that did not meet the criteria of neuroscience. His use of the word mind, when there is no evidence that such a thing even exists, gave him an unfair advantage over his eager students who accepted his every word on faith. The mind is not a thing, it is an activity. The brain is the generator of the activity that Hubbard calls the mind. But Hubbard doesn't use the word brain because he doesn't know how the brain works. Instead, he uses a term which is undefinable upon which to build his faith-based religion. Despite his enthusiasm for his own genius, Hubbard never understood the complexity of the primate brain and relied heavily on the crude but popular E-meter, which measured the skin resistance of the body from one hand to the other. It was a shiny plastic toy with a needle that went back and forth and knobs you could adjust. He labeled the new toy a psychometer that cost him $40 to build and then sold it for thousands to enthusiastic owners who did not know what an O-meter was. An O-meter cannot detect thoughts. It does not reveal if the user is telling the truth, despite Hubbard's bogus claim that his redesigned unit could detect thoughts because thoughts have mass. And he decided that his psychometer was now sensitive enough to isolate thoughts forming inside the brain, distinguish it from other body activity. No one seems to know if the meter is detecting anything at all, much less human thought, except the Scientologists using it for auditing sessions. As much as Hubbard hated psychiatrists, his own method of auditing used the same method of Q&A. The auditor asks increasingly personal and intimate questions, and the student replies with the movement of the meter up or down or remaining steady to reveal honesty or evasion. The goal was to clear out the alien spirits that prevented the brain from achieving optimum performance, hence the coined term clear, so highly prized by participants. What that optimum performance was still remains a mystery. Hubbard's claims for his new science of the mind were so convincing to the public that his Dianetics and Scientology books, tapes, and seminars were a huge success. As the money poured in from enthusiastic seekers, Hubbard spent it quickly to expand his program without paying taxes. After accumulating a huge tax debt to the IRS, Hubbard decided to convert Dianetics, the science of the mind, into a religion which he renamed Scientology. It was a simple matter of replacing the word mind with the word spirit in his published material, which helped win him tax exemption from 1957 to 1967. No one knew what either of these terms actually referred to, but the words themselves were legally sufficient to qualify for the exemption. Hubbard's new religion was structured on a science fiction character called Xenu, a 7-million-year-old galactic dictator that Hubbard invented. Xenu brought billions of his aliens to Earth, stacked them around volcanoes, and blew them up with hydrogen bombs. Unfortunately, the immortal spirits of these aliens, called Thetans, didn't die. Instead, they attached themselves to human bodies and interfered with our original godlike powers, says Hubbard. Once Hubbard had established the existence of these alien spirits he called Thetans, he had to create a program for getting rid of them. So he borrowed the old technique of Q&A in combination with a cheap ohm meter and called it auditing. Auditing is the practice of ridding the body of the alien spirits until the practitioner becomes an OT, an operating Thetan, free of the alien influence. The OT levels could be awarded or taken away depending on how willing you were to submit to Hubbard's rules and hand over increasing amounts of money. Breaking the rules for a member that had signed the infamous billion-year contract could result in discipline ranging from loss of OT levels already achieved, work details, or confinement in the hole. Since each OT level requires larger cash payments, it became a lucrative tax-free business for Hubbard, who kept cranking out more training videos, more training sessions, books, and videos. With so many eager followers to manage, Hubbard was forced to issue directives for disciplining what he labeled PTs, or potential trouble sources, and SPs, or suppressive persons who were under the influence of the alien Thetan spirits. This sounds a bit like the devil's influence in the Christian cult, or the stream of thought forms from that Zen Buddhism observes and releases in formal meditation. As his organization grew larger, Hubbard became more worried about the presence of the alien influence among the new members he called pre-clears. This grew into an atmosphere of paranoia and obsessive auditing to detect the suppressive persons within the group that could sabotage the work. Anyone could be branded an SP simply by taking a known SP, by simply talking to a known SP, and all non-Scientologists are suppressed persons and potential trouble sources. Can you imagine the paranoia and breakups among families and friends that are triggered by such a policy? The Jehovah's Witnesses employ the same strategy called disfellowshipping. If you agree with the leader or the leader's interpretation of doctrine, you are shunned. One example of discipline employed by his successor, David Miscavige, was to lock up his upper management employees in 2 double-wide trailers and subject them to mental and physical abuse in the form of forced confessions, overcrowding, bad food, summer heat and winter's cold as punishment for failing to meet Miscavige's performance expectations. When former spokespersons such as Tommy Davis defend Miscavige at press conferences, they have no idea what is going on behind the scenes. They say whatever Miscavige tells them to say. It's only if they dare to explore the internet, which is a potential trouble source, and discover the testimonials from former members, do they begin to rethink their position and wonder about escaping. The declared goal of Scientology is to save the world by clearing the planet of alien spirits. What the participants do not know is that Hubbard died trying to get rid of those pesky Thetans he had invented himself. Even more telling is the absence of OT levels beyond OT8, although promised, never materialized even after 30 years of waiting. In the end, neither Hubbard nor his followers could prove the program worked as claimed. Instead, it created a mood of suspicion and fear among the participants, who paid large sums of money for the privilege of having their private lives recorded on tape for future blackmailing purposes, in exchange for imaginary superpowers, and worrying that any one of their co-workers could be harboring alien spirits that could present a potential trouble source that might slow down their progress. Just imagine the cost of a global prison system necessary to incarcerate and indoctrinate all the SPs and PTSs suspected by the Church of Scientology of harboring aliens. The godlike powers claimed by Hubbard for completing the courses offered by his new religion include immunity from physical ailments, psychic abilities, superintelligence, super senses, telekinesis, mind control, a universal stopwatch, control of people around you, creation and control of your own world. The cost of completing all levels up to OT8 is estimated at $365,000. Despite the multitude of claims from Scientologists to have achieved MEST, M-E-S-T, control over matter, energy, space, and time, there have been no confirmed reports attesting to the truth of such claims. It's more likely that people are able to imagine virtually anything or interpret a random event they wanted to happen as proof of control and then proceed to convince themselves it really did happen. When put to an actual test of reliability, such claims always fail, regardless of the practitioner's faith in Hubbard. If anyone investigated the OT8 graduates, they would most likely find them to be motivated, professional people of above-average intelligence, but no superpowers. The years of abuse at the hands of David Miscavige have come back to haunt him in the shocking testimonials of former associates uploaded on the web. As the groundswell increases with cheaper video equipment, it is becoming harder and harder for the damage control department to convince YouTube editors to remove them. Many of these postings are from well-educated professionals from upper management who watched with alarm as Miscavige increased his personal wealth and power at the expense of gullible seekers. Miscavige and Hubbard both claimed to have a dream of clearing the planet of the alien Thetan spirits and thus saving the world instead of the more likely scenario of world domination under the control of power-hungry businessmen like these two. One posting compared what is happening to Scientologists with the plot in the Matrix movie, in which humans have lost control to machines that breed them for their energy. It's the opposite with the real world, where humans are born free, then seduced by Scientologists with promises of power before being robbed and reduced to slavery. All religions that are criticized on YouTube follow the same formula as Scientology, with extraordinary promises followed by an attack on thinking and a request for money once you agree to join.